Hey guys, it's Rafi, and today I am recording another video where I am playing a rapid chess game here. And yeah, we've got a pretty good opponent here, rated 2250. And we've got the Slav Defense going on here, so we're going to go ahead and get our knights out. So he does go into the e3 system, so now it's basically a Queen's Gambit declined where I'm playing the Slav Defense. Um, from the best of my understanding here, can I play bishop f5? I'm just trying to calculate what happens after queen b3, or taking on d5 first and then playing queen b3. I believe he can do it. He can play this queen a3 move, queen b3 move. So I am going to first play a6, because then if next move, for example, I play bishop f5, and he takes and he takes, I take, and he does play queen b3. I can always respond with b5. Or even if I play bishop f5 and he plays queen b3, I can go fb5 right away, even if we don't make this trade happen. So now that I've played a6, I think I'm free to move this bishop out to g4 and pin this knight. Although I am a little bit concerned after bishop g4, if queen b3, then I take on f3, he takes on b7. If the knight d7, b to d7, then he can take the rook. He can't take the rook, but he can take back my bishop. Maybe I should put the bishop on f5 instead. Maybe I should play b5. I'll put this bishop on f5 for now, and avoid this kind of stuff with queen here, knight here. That's kind of a strange move, bishop d2. Normally I was expecting something like bishop d3, taking here maybe, playing bishop e2. All those would have been more natural looking, I think, but bishop d2 is interesting. He's trying to delay, developing this bishop until I take back on c4. But the thing is that I can delay as well. And the bishop on d2 really doesn't, I don't know, I just feel like it's not the right square for this bishop. It kind of gets in the way of the queen a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe it's fine. So I'll just play a normal move like e6. I am going to make one quick thing here. I'm going to change the board color. Okay, let's make our move first, and then we can analyze. So I don't understand the idea of b3 after playing bishop d2. b3 would make sense if you put the bishop here on b2, but I don't know. I don't know what the idea is here. Excuse me. Well, anyway, I am going to just use this time to develop my knight to d7, because we pretty much know that knight is going to go on d7. Or actually, should I play h6? Because if he plays knight h4, I can play bishop g4. If f3, then bishop h5, g4, then bishop g6. That's not gonna be a fun way for white to play. I think he won't want to make those moves. So I think my bishop is okay for now. Just sit on f5. It's not. There's no threat of knight here, and knight takes on g6 after bishop g6 right now because I have this g4 square to go to. So I'm gonna go ahead and develop this knight. Okay, let's go back to changing our board color. This one maybe? No, no, that's not gonna work. That one, hard to see. This green one, kind of hard to see honestly, but we can play around with it, I guess. Let's try changing the pieces maybe. That's much better. Problem with this one is that the pieces are so similarly colored. It's hard to tell which ones are white, which ones are black. Kind of like this one though. We need a really light colored board. This is pretty cool. Kind of like that. Let's leave it like this. Okay, so what did he play? Okay, so he played bishop e2. Okay. Now when you develop this bishop, and I think the best square is probably d6. Bishop b4 is an option, but then he will play a3, and I don't want to trade this knight for the bishop. The bishop for the knight, I mean. I want to hold on to my bishop pair for the moment. Bishop e7 is possible, but I think d6 is the most active square. But I always have to watch out for this kind of push with e4 and then e5 to follow. It's a little fork trick that has happened to me many times before. I've fallen for that trick, so we need to watch out for that. So he castles. I think we can just castle. Wait, is bishop knight h4 now a threat? I think it is, honestly. Because after this knight h4 now, I don't have bishop g4 anymore. So after knight h4, my bishop really has no other squares besides e4 or g6, neither of which are going to be good. So I think now is a good time to play h6 to safeguard this bishop from the knight h5, knight h4 maneuver. Yeah, now we have this option of bishop h7 if he plays this. Interesting. Now he wants to switch the diagonal of the bishop, I guess. put it on this diagonal, which makes sense. But I think if he was gonna do that, he should have done it right away in the beginning instead of going here and then coming back and then going here, going. It's just a long, kind of a waste of two moves. Maybe he wants to play this. It's another possibility, and trade the light square bishops off. I think this is a good time to castle. I'm just seeing if there's any other options like knight queen a5 maybe, bishop b2, then bishop b4. Then where is this knight actually going? If queen a5, bishop b2, bishop b4, the knight has to go somewhere. He can't really play queen d2 because of knight e4. He can't play queen c2. He can play queen e1. Then I have to worry about a3 coming. Actually, if queen a5, bishop b2, bishop b4, queen e1, I have knight e4 in that position. Queen a5, bishop b2, bishop b4, there's also rook c1. Then if bishop takes, queen takes a2, rook a1, queen c2. You know what? It's an active move to get the queen out. Let's go ahead and go for it. Why not? We're overthinking this maybe a little bit. I think this is just a good active move that hits the knight, develops the queen at once. This is not a bad square for the queen, so let's go for it. Okay, now if we want to continue putting pressure, we would play this move bishop b4. We want to continue putting pressure, so why not? Improve the position of all of our pieces. He might even play knight b1 here actually, and then reroute the knight to d2. Also a possibility. In which case, my moves queen a5 and bishop b4 might actually be a little bit silly here. Because after that, he'll play a3, bishop will go back, then he'll play b4, queen will go back, and he might even play c5, or if anything, he has gained space on the queen side. So maybe knight b1 is the best move here. Well, that's a one that we missed. Queen c1, simply. I don't know how I didn't see that move or calculate that, but yeah, that works. This is probably a good time to castle. I know he's about to gain a lot of space on the queen side here, but not too much can be done about that. I'm wondering if I should just exchange here to get this e4 square for my knight. But no, I don't really want to give up the bishop here. I like that. Let's bring these pieces back. I'm sure he'll play b4, c5, stuff like that here. Let's let him gain some space, and we'll strike and break this open again with b6 or b5, something like that. And yes, he will have more space on the queen side, and there's not much we can do about that. I'm gonna bring this queen all the way back to d8, so I can keep this long diagonal for the bishop, the d6 bishop. Pretty sure he'll play this. That seems like a pretty good move. Opens up this bishop and gains a lot of space. Really shuts down on the queen side and locks things up and gets a lot of space. So why not? Oh, I'm surprised he did not play that. So if I take, bishop takes, b5, bishop goes back, then knight e4. I think I need to do that because I don't want him to really push c5 and gain a whole bunch of space now. I think it's a good time to go ahead and take that now. And I am making his move bishop move twice. Remember, he already moved it to e2. Now he has to move again. Do I want to commit to a move like b5 though, and really make c6 a weakness? I don't think so. I think I'm going to maintain the principle that when you're cramped, you should exchange pieces. So I have a little bit less space now. So now is a good time to start trading off some pieces here. So let's continue with that plan and just play this move here. Yeah, I figured that was probably coming. He's going to try to push through with e4 now. So here's the thing though. I do have some attacking chances right now on this king. I'm wondering if I can make this move work. I doubt it. Takes, check. Takes, check, king takes, queen check, king g1. Queen h4, g3. Bishop takes, f takes. And I don't have anything after that anymore, unfortunately. I could offer a trade of bishops with bishop d5. The thing is that after bishop d5 and bishop d3, I'm not really seeing how to continue this from that point on. I think let's just back this bishop up right now to g6. I was not unfortunately able to find anything concrete to play here. Ah! I would like to activate this queen though. So let's provoke some weaknesses at the very least, right? If queen h4, then knight here. And I have to go back with my queen again. Let's try it. Why not? Yep, see, we already provoked one weakness. That's good that he did that. That's great. Now we just bring the queen back. Let's get our pieces optimally placed. If he wants to initiate trades, and I think that's fine with me. Hmm. Bishop here, f3. We'll pull this bishop back. I'll play the rook to c8, and I'll play d5 here very shortly. We do need to push this knight back somehow. That knight is well placed, very well placed. And if it gets to c3, it will be, I mean c5, it'll be very well placed. This bishop is also good. Both of these pieces are really good pieces versus compared to mine. This bishop is okay, but this knight, I don't know, maybe we could use a better square or something maybe. I might just put the bishop on b8 and kind of just leave it there. One idea I have in mind is to play this move, h here, and then h5 and h3, or sorry, h4. To try and soften up this king side here. I think I'll go ahead and trade the knights off. And then that rook on the d file probably can stay for now. Instead, I'm going to try to make some progress here with my attack. If you want to call it that. I don't have much of an attack probably at this point. With so few pieces remaining, it's hard to say if there isn't any kind of attack even. Let's go ahead and upgrade the rook to the d5 square. I'm sure he'll trade. He might play this. He might play this. He might play moves like that and that. Definitely want to take over this d file. So now it's looking like a draw to me. I'll put all my pawns on the light squares, and that's it. There's really no progress that can be made here at this point, most likely. Um, I don't know if that was necessarily good for me or not. Honestly, that might not have been the best idea, but I don't know. I do have to be careful. There is ways that I could lose this kind of open endings with the bishops of the same color. So it's definitely not just an easy draw by any means. It's definitely not a position where you just say, okay, well, I'm just going to get a draw here. It's not like that at all. There's a lot of play left. But I mean, I don't feel that there's many chances I could lose this unless his king somehow enters. So just need to make sure that his king's entry points are all blocked off. In this case, mainly these dark squares is where he's going to want to enter. Initiating exchanges should help in increasing the drawing chances. If he pushes, he'll lock things in. His king has no entry point. That will definitely be a draw. If he pushes, I can literally just play bishop e7, bishop d8 forever. Yeah, that's draw for sure. I'll offer him the draw here, and it's a draw. So it's really hard to make progress in a position like this. There's not really, I mean, like, I don't know what either side could really do to make any kind of progress. Things have really locked up a lot, and the position is just a draw. I mean, bishops of same color. The pawn structure is symmetrical. As you can see, that white has three pawns on the queen side. Black also does. Four on the king side. Excuse me. White also the same thing. So whenever the pawn structures are symmetrical like that, it's even harder to really make much of a progress in these kind of positions because you know, it's just a very difficult task to try to make any kind of progress here. And yeah, I think he played very well. Although I think some of the moves in the opening for him were a little bit um, unorthodox, I guess you could say. It turned out okay for him. I think at some point in the game, I had some small glimpses of a kingside attack, but it was not really that hard to materialize this really. So let's analyze this with the computer and let's look at it. So really, we played almost a perfect game. One inaccuracy, no mistakes, no blunders. 12 average centipon loss. For me, no inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders. 11 average centipon loss. Accuracy is 95. So this is like we basically played a computer chess game. We played like two computers essentially. Um, Apparently, no mistakes were made. So let's look at it. I'm definitely very happy and satisfied with my play in this one, and of course, the opponent's play was very satisfactory as well. I'm going to guess that his inaccuracy might have been when he played Bishop D2. I don't know. Oh, we can see that was actually B3. Anyway, this is all theoretical stuff for the Slav. A6 is the most popular, I think. Not the most popular, but one of the most popular moves. The other move that I could have played in this position is called E6, and that would be the semi-Slav. The semi-Slav is a very theoretical opening, and you really have to know quite a bit of theory if you're going to lock in that light square bishop so early in the game by playing this way. So I typically try to avoid the semi-Slav whenever I can, and I play this A6 line. I forgot the name of this. I think it's called a Sheveningen, maybe, or something like that. A6 Slav. What is that one called? Shebanenko. Okay, Shebanenko. Shebanenko Slav, right. So anyway, so that's kind of how I've been playing this opening. And so I went with A6, and the idea is a lot of times black goes for a quick B5 in these lines. They quickly get in the move B5 and start challenging the C4 pawn. So here knight F3 happened, and I played bishop F5. The reason you play A6, so basically what I was saying in the game is that so let's just say I play move like bishop to F5 here. What black typically can do is they can take this and play this move queen to B3, which hits this pawn on B7, and it's kind of annoying to have to defend this pawn. If you play a move like B6, then bishop B5, this check, and these dark light squares become a problem. Um, and other moves like there's queen C8 is a possibility. Oh no, it's not a possibility. I'm sorry. There's a pawn dropping on D5 if you do that. So really, the best way to defend this pawn is to bring the bishop back to C8, and it's really not at all a way that black wants to play. I mean, what's the point of trading pawns on D5 and then undeveloping the bishop back to C8? And white used that time to get rid of this pawn, open up this bishop, diagonal for the bishop, developed a queen, and we lost tempo, obviously. So this is not the way to play. So what black does instead is he plays, instead of bishop F5 right away, he plays A6 first. So then my opponent played knight F3 and now plays bishop F5, because now if queen B3 did happen, I could just respond with either rook A7, which is a very interesting way to defend the pawn, or more naturally, B5, simply. And if he takes B5, that's totally fine for us. We'll open up this rook, A file for the rook. And if he pushes, that's also okay for us. We've gotten our space as well. So we'll play push A5 here and have a good, solid amount of space on the queen side. And then we'll play regular moves. Our bishop is already outside the pawn chain, so nothing to worry about. This knight h4 move is there, and we're okay with the giving up the bishop if needed. We can play bishop g4. I think this is how I would play probably. F3 might happen, and then we can even bring this bishop all the way back to c8 or d7. Probably c8 makes some sense because it can go there, here, trade itself off for this bishop maybe at some point. So yeah, this should be okay, I think. But he didn't play queen b3. He played bishop d2. Which is not really a very popular move here, as you can see that it's played some. There's 99 games, I guess, from this position, but it's not the most popular. So then I continue with regular developing move like e6, getting out the mother bishop, this one out. So b3 happened, and I think I played my knight. Yeah, developing the knight because I wasn't exactly sure yet. Excuse me, where I want this other bishop to be. I really think this is an interesting idea to play the bishop to a3. I didn't really consider this move too much in the game. Kind of hampers White's developing ideas here. That is certainly an interesting idea. And of course, threatening to play bishop b2 or something like that. But I think maybe he can try, to play maybe rook b1. And this is the threat to try to play this. Oh, actually, rook b1 doesn't make sense because, of course, I have the bishop here. But anyway, down the road, maybe after trading this bishop off or something like that, he could play, in theory, rook b1 and then b4, try to trap the bishop. But that's a long term plan, and I have many ways to stop it. I can move my bishop, I can play a5. So this was definitely an interesting move to consider, but I chose to develop this knight. And now he did have a chance to harass my bishop if he wanted with this move, which I think I was okay with that. The play would kind of be something like this. He could try to go for g4 maybe. I don't think he can play g4 actually because there's a little tactic with knight takes here. There's an attack on this knight, so that's not going to work even. Maybe g3 like the computer is suggesting. So anyway, that would have been an interesting option for him, but he didn't go for this. He instead went for bishop e2, more normal, natural developing move. I just played bishop d6. Why not? Why not develop another piece? Castle, and now h6 to safeguard this bishop from the knight h4 idea. Then bishop c1. Which was interesting. He reroutes the bishop, which makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, the bishop is not doing anything on d2, so why not reroute that bishop to the better diagonal on b2? Um, so then I just played a natural move, which is castling, but I do see this idea from the computer to play g5 and potentially start some sort of a kingside attack, maybe. That would be interesting. This is a very interesting way to play for sure. King h1, sidestepping this check. I'm playing b5. Interesting. Definitely did not consider playing this way. Played, I think, what I would consider a more human-like move, which is to play. Oh, I played queen a5. I thought I castled. Okay, never mind. This is where I went for that expedition with the queen and the bishop. So yeah, queen a5 just develops the queen and hits the knight. But I don't know if this was the necessarily the greatest idea, but it turned out okay in the game. I think castling would have been the better move here, but I don't know. Queen a5 should be two. Um, then I played bishop b4, queen c1, which I missed that move for some reason. I thought he would have to play rook c1 or something, but Yeah, this was nice. I was expecting him to play knight b1, honestly. To which I think I would have responded by castling, and I was expecting him to play moves like a3. Also, actually interesting would have been c5 here. Had he done that, I think I would have had to play this way. This would have been the way to go, which I would have been fine with this position. Actually, there's no problems here because both of my bishops have good diagonals to work with, and even though white does have a little bit more space on this queen side, I mean, it's going to take him a while to get these two moves in a4 and b5, and by then I'm sure I will be able to create something in the center with moves like e5, for example, rook e8, and then e5 will definitely attack on the king side. And if he doesn't take it, then I'll push to e4, and then I'll move these pieces out of the way. Sorry, this bishop and this knight out of the way, and then I'll push f4, f5, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a way to play for sure. That's kind of what I was expecting in the game, to something like this. So maybe he would play b4, come back. Maybe he'll play c5 and really lock this in and get a lot of space here. To which I was going to respond with b6 at some point, but maybe not immediately. Yeah, not what happened. He played queen c1, castled. Now he starts kicking my pieces back, which I was fine with that before. And here I was very certain, almost certain, that he would certainly play c5. But he didn't play this move. He played this rook move, and I took this chance to go ahead and take on c4, which I'm not unhappy with my decision to take on c4 because it does take away from my central grip, because it is a central pawn that I'm trading for a wing pawn, and I'm giving up the e4 square a little bit. But it wasn't that hard for him to, I mean, that easy for him to really take advantage of that either. So I think it was okay. And then I didn't play b5 either because I didn't want this c6 pawn to become a weakness one day. So I instead started focusing on another strategy, which is when you're down material. I mean, when you're down, in space, when you have less space, just exchange off pieces, and it'll be a lot easier to maneuver your pieces around. So I kind of stuck with that, and I started trying to trade pieces. There was a very interesting possibility here with bishop takes h2. Apparently, what's the idea here? Oh, just kidding. There was no bishop takes h2 possibility. I'm not sure why I saw that for a second. Here I was calculating all types of stuff. Like, can I start an attack? Like, can I sacrifice this? Can I play bishop queen here? Can I do queen h4? But none of them really seemed to have worked. So I couldn't find anything, and turns out there wasn't anything there. So I'm glad I found the simple bishop g6. G6 and not on h7, because g6 keeps the option of this diagonal open as well. And it's more active on g6 than it would be on h7. So then I centralized both of my rooks, but first I went ahead and created an attack to try to provoke some pawn pushes on that king side. I kind of provoked that pawn to come out to g3 and came back with the queen. Then he gets his bishop to that long diagonal. I take that time to centralize my rooks. He then chooses to trade off the bishops, which I was happy with because I'm trading was good for me. I have less space, so why not? Let's trade. I of course don't want to give up the dark square bishop to the knight, although the computer likes to do that with f5. I personally um, would like to keep the bishop. Um, you know, in the future, the game could open up, and I want that possibility of having that bishop if the game did open up in that kind of way, favorable way. So, I can see the idea of playing this way. And if he takes this, queen take. And the thing is that this bishop is not the greatest piece because look at all these pawns. There, every single pawn is on a dark square, which really limits the possibility of this bishop's mobility. And so, as a result of that, my knight here would be better off because it has all these great central squares here, here. These light squares are all in my control because of these pawns. So that's the reasoning behind computer suggesting f5 and giving up that dark square bishop. But anyway, that would have been fine, I'm sure. But I chose not to give it up and saved it. It's also okay. So then we take like queen c2, which I don't really understand that move too much, other than maybe at some point he was trying to prepare this knight g5 with queen h7 checkmate, or maybe he was making room for the rook to come down on the c file. I think maybe he was just trying to connect rooks and finish developing. The computer voluntarily wants to give up the bishop by putting on d6 and tempting white to take it. That's funny. Also, I think it wants to do that because if knight c5 happens, it wants to give up the bishop instead of the knight. I guess. I don't know. Let's just say he plays here and he plays here. Yeah, bishop takes is the idea. All right. So, oh, let's increase the brightness here. So anyway, knight queen c2, rook c8, knight c5 happened anyway. Again, I kept following the principle. If you're down in space, trade. So I traded, although I do think that after this trade, he did have the possibility of taking with the b pawn and piling up on the b file at this b7 pawn. That was definitely a possibility. And I think here white does have a little bit of advantage, slight advantage. So yeah, that would have been something to deal with actually had he done that. I think I would have just like the computer is suggesting, I would have gotten try to get rid of this as quickly as possible with the rook b8. Let's follow the suggestion here, rook c1. And I'd probably just go for this move b5, personally. Oh, there's e5 as a suggestion as well. Yeah, sure, why not e5? Why not strike at the center and exchange off some more pieces maybe? This e5 move happens and then if he trades, then great, I'll take with the bishop and we'll trade more pieces. And that is good for me. And the c5 pawn will become weak. So he probably won't take. He will instead play something like queen c4, as the computer is suggesting here. In which case, I will take. And we'll just end up trading everything off and having have a pretty equalish position. This b7 is not that easy to attack. There's no light square bishop, so it's not going to be that easy to get to that pawn. But he chose to take with the d pawn. Then I improved my queen. Trades happened. And rook d1. Excuse me. Rook d5, centralizing the rook. Another way to quickly go for the draw was like the computer is suggesting queen f5, trying to just offer a queen trade. I mean, well, First, he would have to take here, and then maybe he could take this if he wants to. But that's a dead draw again. No real good way to make any progress. But I chose to play rook d5, and then I traded rooks, and then immediately challenged him on the d file, which he accepted the trade. And now we enter a position where I think it's just very dead drawn. We made a couple of moves and decided on the score. Bringing the king closer, closer, offering to exchange more pawns. It looks like apparently I had a little bit of advantage here. G takes f4, G takes f4, then a5. Maybe I had some play, but not really. Not really. After he plays a move like e5, I mean, it's pretty much he's just offering me a draw because that position after e5 is just absolutely locked up in every side of the board, and there's really no progress that can be made at that point. Just the two bishops like that. I could try to push on the king side all day, but all white will do is just shuffle his pieces back and forth. He'll bring the bishop in to f2 or something like that, and he'll move it from f2 to g1. And there's not anything in the world I can do to try to make any kind of progress. My bishop, my own bishop, is really trapped at this point. Also, it doesn't have any way to get out either. So yeah, here I offer the draw, and he took the draw, and that's the fair result here. So hopefully, most of you guys will have gotten something from this game. I know that I learned to just follow chess principles. Just trying to keep in mind pawn structures. Keep in mind that when you have less space, it's a good idea to trade pieces. Um, Going for the kingside attack, even though it didn't amount to anything, it still did provoke a little bit of a weakness. Um, I mean, that's really the main takeaways from this game. Not really much else happened. It was a very boring, drawn game. But both of us played almost perfect chess, so happy with that. Hope to see you guys in my next video and would love to hear your comments if you liked it and enjoyed this video. Thank you and take care.